Land has been a major point of contention in India. Over the years, several governments have tried to find out solutions to a viable land acquisition policy, but sadly there have been none. So when the government decided to come out with the Land Acquisition Bill 2011, industry had a lot of expectations. But sadly, the bill has left a sour taste in the mouth of many. While some industrialists have described it as pro-poor legislation, others, like Niranjan Hiranandani, have gone as far as saying that it is like an extortion racket. Now let us analyze this bill in light of a chosen manifesto. We strongly believe that the growth of the country will be driven by a viable private-public partnership and not by private and public companies individually. We also believe in incentivizing corporates to actually take up CSR activities and activities promoting environmental security and eco-friendly practices. Now this bill has introduced some significant changes as compared to the existing legislation, some which will have a far-reaching out effects. One very important change that the bill has brought about is that it will include the rights not only of the landowners as is there in the current legislation, but also of the livelihood losers, that is artisans, landless labourers and others who depend upon the livelihood on this piece of land. Another important change is that it is going to severely curb the power of the governments under the urgency clause of the Land Acquisition Bill 1894. This clause has been misused by governments all over India over the past decades. A very recent example of this would be the acquisition of land in Greater Noida, which was later given out to developers and builders. This ultimately was followed by violent protests by farmers in Bhatta Parsol, and the courts had to finally step in to return the land to their rightful owners. Another important fact or change this act is going to bring about is that it mandates a social impact assessment by an independent body before any piece of land is actually undertaken or acquired. So this social impact assessment would actually test or try to find out what impacts on the life of the people such a project or such land acquisition is going to take. Now, these points may prove that this proposed legislation is actually going to help people. But then if you look from the industry point of view, many of the changes are unwarranted. Given that the state of economy we are in, given the doubts about policy paralysis, about the capability of the government, and the severe inflationary pressures we are facing, the several levels of compensation this act actually introduces are scary. This act not only provides for monetary compensation immediately, but also provides for resettlement and rehabilitation, and also a number of other clauses like transportation clause, and then for a real estate project they have to provide 20% of the houses to the landowners. Now with several levels of monetary compensation, the overall cost to companies actually becomes a lot. And most of these projects being long-term infrastructure projects, they take a lot of time to actually break even. Under such circumstances, what we propose is the government allows these companies to actually raise money through tax-free bonds and also provides them with tax exemptions till they actually break even. Also, we propose that it's very important that the government does not control the acquisition process through setting of prices of land. We firmly believe that this should be completely market-driven, complete market-driven process, be it for public or for private enterprises. And then a very important loophole which we find in this act is several acts like the SEZ Act have been kept out of the ambit of this act. Now, if you look, a lot of land acquisitions in India over the past few years have taken place through the SEZ Act. So we propose that the SEZ and similar acts also be brought under the ambit of this proposed legislation. Also, we believe that since it's important to promote with the concerns of environmental security looming large, we propose that environmental and wildlife hotspots should not be touched and several safeguards should be provided. And then we also believe that the compulsory infrastructure or facilities that the corporates have been bound to provide under this bill are not really serving the purpose. We believe that corporates, this should be made not compulsory, but again we believe that corporates should be incentivized if they undertake the development activities in this area. So considering these facts and the point, while this proposed legislation actually has some very good initiatives for the poor, for the people who are going to lose their lands, yet it has in a way gone too far while providing compensation, which is in a way going to affect the health of the industry and which will be a big deterrent to industries to actually invest in India. And what we want is a vibrant India where not only the rights of the landowners are taken into account, but also domestic growth has to be prepared, because it will ultimately create jobs in India and ultimately lead to win-win situation for all.